Good evening, Norman. Why change your pose? Slow down.
They're coming right now.
Who's coming?
The Germans.
So, the movie I am reviewing is Fury. But before I get into it, no. So, Fury, let's start with where it begins. Fury is in World War II. It is about, it's about a group of men, 5 different men, who are in a tank. Now, that is their home that they live in. It's their place where they reside all the time because that's what they're usually in. They're usually in a tank. They're usually not out of the tank. But it is based in World War II where they are fighting the Germans, the Nazis. They are there to protect the Americans who are protecting, who are fighting the war against the Germans. Best way to put it. I mean, that's the movie in a nutshell. Really, it is. No, but let's get into it. So, who are the 2 main actors that are really well known that if I talk about, you would know? Well, there's Brad Pitt, and there is Shia LaBeouf. I'm sorry, I'm not really good with his name, but they are both great actors. I mean, you've seen Brad Pitt in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You've seen him in other movies that are out there that I just can't think of. You've seen Shia LaBeouf in the Transformers series. I mean, that's what he's known for. He's known for other things too, but that's where he's well known. And so let's get into the movie. So Fury starts off with that they're in the middle of butt-frick nowhere. I mean, literally. And Brad Pitt is on the tank, and a German soldier who's riding a horse comes and he kills him. He literally, stabs him to death. Best way to put it. That's what he does. But, I mean, they were having problems with the tank where it wasn't moving, so they had to fix it. So they got one of the guys there that fixes it for, who fixes the tanks and who works the big giant shells. He loads them. And that's what he does. He loads them and then they come firing back out and then he loads them back in and stuff like that. But he's also the mechanic. So he fixes up stuff. And so they're trying to fix it and they finally get back to where they have to go. Back to their base. They thought they were dead. And they're all that's left of B Company. Best way to put it. As they say, we're the only people of B Company. And they're like, oh great, here we go, we only got 1 tank back. Okay, that sucks. But now this guy, Norm, comes into play, and he's like, yeah, I'm here, I'm joining your group, yada, yada, yada. And as he's joining the group, he is really a typist. He can type 60 minutes, 60 words a minute. I mean, that's great, that's fast. In World War II time, that's not bad at all. But, He has no training as a tank operator. He knows nothing. He's never even shot someone before. He's never really ever done anything. He's just been a typist, best way to put it, who types all the time on a typewriter. And so that's what he's been doing. He just got out of the army. He's been in it for 8 weeks and he's been training, but nothing to do with tanks. And so they go and their mission is to go and kill the Germans, best way to put it. So they have to go to a town, and they go and they destroy it, and the Germans that are in there, and they find out that the Germans have been using child soldiers, which is not good at all. I mean, that's pretty, disgusting. But, hey, if that's what Hitler wants to do, by all means, that's what Hitler wants to do, and if that's how they portray it in the movie, that's how they portray it. Now, as it goes, they capture the town of killing all the Germans, and Norm falls in love with a woman named Emma, and yeah, of course they do the hokey pokey, and and so the sergeant, who is played by Brad Pitt, he has some eggs, and they eat the eggs, and yada 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 as it goes on. That they go back into their tank. And they have to go back to another place. And they are there, and they're accompanied by 5 tanks. I mean, 5 tanks. All in a big group, and one of them gets destroyed just because Norm won't kill a child soldier, as Brad Pitt would say, I don't care if it's a child soldier. I don't care if it's anybody with a weapon. You kill them. That's the whole point of the mission, is to kill any Germans that are there because they just don't want to get killed. And so the tank explodes. Everyone in the tank dies. And they're left with 4. Then at some point in time, they're left with 3 tanks because their mission is to go and capture a crossroad of where there's a track and stuff where the American supply of food is going to come. Now, if they don't capture it and they don't take over before the Germans do, they are going to lose their supplies and they will not make it through. They will not at all. So as they're going, 3 of them are going, and they find a nice, lovely tank that, if I'm not mistaken, it's called a Tiger tank. It's more or less an anti-tank. Best way to put it, that takes out tanks. It's really hard to kill from the front. You have to shoot it from the back, where there is a part that will really destroy the tank. If you hit it, it kind of sends the tank not able to function, not able to move, and then you got to shoot it again and it might explode. But sometimes it doesn't. So they got the 3 tanks, the 3 Americans are left, the 3 American tanks are there and they're trying to shoot it, and you got this big giant tank just destroying everybody. It takes out one of the first tanks and you see a guy's head blown off, and it's like, oh my goodness, like disgusting, but you know, it's fine. I'm used to it. Okay, I'm used to seeing blood and gore and stuff like that because I love action movies. I love movies that are just action-packed as can be. There are other movies I like to watch too, but this is mostly what I like to watch. And so, you know, for this, it's not bad at all. And then you got a second group where they get shot and the whole top of the tank falls off. Like it flies up in the air and drops. I mean, these tanks are heavy as can be. So you expect what these big shells, these big missiles can do to a tank, as this anti-tank is trying to destroy the 3 of them. And you got Brad Pitt in his group with Shia LaBeouf, who is the gunman who is shooting these big shotgun, like these big shells. And you got Norm, who shoots people with his little gun that's in the front. And then you got this guy Gordo, who is driving the tank, and Brad Pitt is the main sergeant, the captain. And then you got this other guy who fixes stuff and shoves the shells into the tanks. I mean, that's what he does. And so they're there and they're getting hammered. I mean, they're getting shot at. They're like every which way, and they can't. They finally make their way over to the tank, and they're getting there closer and closer and closer, trying to get to the back of this anti-tank so that they can destroy it. And they finally get to it, and they are pounding it whichever way they can. And you got Shia LaBeouf, who's just pounding them, and he's like, one more shot, and he shoots the tank, and he hits the back of it, doesn't take it out. He's like, one more, and then he shoots it again, and he gets it. He finally gets it, and it's out of commission. You got Norm there, who's just sitting there, and he's like, damn you Nazi. Okay, and he's like shooting the guy, and he kills him, and they finally make their way to the crossroad where they have to protect it. And so they're trying to figure out what's going to happen, because as they get there, they think they've been attacked by the Germans, but it's just a landmine. They hit a landmine, and the track of the wheel breaks off, and they're out of commission. They're just stuck there, and they can't do anything. And so what do they do? What do you think they really do? Well, they come up with an idea. First they send Norman to go and scout out the whole entire group to see who's coming, if anybody is coming, and he's supposed to report back. And so he sees the Germans coming, and they got this big infantry that's like 200-300 people and a few trucks. One sec. I got the hiccups. Good old Dr. Pepper. So he sees the infantry coming, and he's like, and he's running, and Brad Pitt's like, what the heck are you doing back, Norman? And he's like, the Germans, they're coming. And he's like, well, how many people are there? And he's like, well, 200-300. And then he's like, well, and he tags it. He's like, no, just a few trucks. And he's like, wow, and Brad Pitt's like, this is a big group of an SS battalion. And it's crazy, and they got guns, they got things to destroy a tank, they got everything, the whole 9 yards of these Germans, they got everything. And so they got to come up with a plan. So they put a dead body onto the tank of a German, and they light it on fire, and they light some other things on fire on the ground to make like, you know, that the Germans were destroyed there so that they would just kind of walk by. But unfortunately, they do not, and that's where it's the main battle to the death. Who's going to win? The Germans versus the Americans. And you must be wondering who's going to win. Well, let me tell you this. Everybody dies except for Norman. And you must be wondering, how is this possible? Well, Gordo, who is the gunman, he dies because his head's been popped, because he popped out of from where he was sitting, and he gets shot all over and everything. And then you got the guy who fixes the tank and shoves the shells in. He gets hit by a missile that comes through the tank and shoots him in the stomach and just kills him. I mean, he's just like dead there. There's nothing you can do about it. And then you got Shia LaBeouf, who is literally shot in the face. I mean, he gets into the tank, he gets up, and poof! Shot right in the face, like right in the eye, and he's just there dead. You got Brad Pitt and Norman, and they're just wondering what the heck's going on, like who's going to win, and like who's going to die next. And you got Norman just shooting his way through everything, doing everything he can, and Brad Pitt is the next one to die. Why isn't that a shock? It wasn't a shock. I mean, the main character, Brad Pitt, is going to die. I mean, literally, it happens. And he's there, and he's shooting a .50 caliber outside of the tank, trying to kill as many people as can go, as many Germans as can die. And he's getting shot there, and a sniper comes and gets him, just plows him, just sees him outside and shoots him. Doesn't kill him, but shoots him. Then the sniper reloads and he, poof, shoots him again. Second time, and he's down for the count. He's in the tank, and he just dies there. And then you got Norman, who is there, and just before Brad Pitt dies, you got Norman is like, in case the Germans take over the tank, there's a hatch under, and you have to get out. You have to get out. So he goes and he gets out and he crawls under, and that's where Brad Pitt really dies. And Norman's under the ground, and he's like wondering, am I going to die? Am I going to die? Please, 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 please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. And a German comes and flashes a light right at Norman, and you're like, oh my goodness, Norman's going to die. Norman's going to die. And lo and behold, he is safe. He survived. It's like, I would say the person is like between 18 and 22 of the Germans who spots him and is like, yeah, you know, I'll let you go. You're only one American, whatever. And who cares? I'll be compassionate. And he lets him go. And that's it. He just lets him go, and it's crazy. But Norman survives, and he's the only one. So he crawls back into the tank. And he's there waiting till whenever, and he hears people coming in the morning, and there you go. Lo and behold, it's the Americans, and he's like, and he survives. He's stuck in the back of a medical truck, and that's it. And that's the end of the movie. I mean, it's well done. It's great. It is so good that it's such packed action. Brad Pitt's a great actor in there. Shia LaBeouf is good. All the other actors are great in there. I mean, they all play their part very well. They all deserve awards for this movie. I mean, it's just amazing to see this movie. But you know what? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But you know, I really enjoyed it. I really loved it, except for when they're shooting. It looks like freaking laser beams from Star Wars, where you can actually see them shoot their guns. You can see them shoot their tanks. You can see them shoot everything. It's so corny. No offense, but that's the corniest thing. I mean, if they made it more realistic, where it doesn't show the Americans shooting the Germans and the Germans shooting the Americans with looking like red and green lasers against good and evil. I mean, really, you got the Americans with the red lasers that are like they're evil, and you got the Germans who are green, who are the good, who look like they're the good ones, but it should be the opposite, how it should be of it, like in Star Wars, where you got the green laser and you got the red laser, the good, the bad. And I mean, but overall, it was really well done. I loved it. It was amazing. You can't go wrong with it. I mean, really, if you're looking for a packed action movie that is a great movie to watch that's based in World War II, that is not true events, but is really well done for what it could be, like living in a tank or being part of a group or fighting the Germans. I mean, it's really well done. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this new movie review of this new channel that I've created. If you have, please hit that subscribe, that thumbs up button. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that bell so that every day I upload a video, because I watch a video every day and I review it every day. So it will be every 6 days except for the 7th day, which is Sunday, which will not be happening at all. So just stay tuned for that, but I will always be there to send you a movie. And remember, movies are awesome, movies are great, movies are the best thing to watch. So don't forget to always watch my movie reviews before you watch the movie.